statistical information on how foreclosures and the downturn affect the values now.
Very good. And speaking of just foreclosures and some of these challenges, I mean, what would you say, and I just thought it was important that we have you on the program because I know that there are a lot of folks struggling, and you know that too. You just referenced the foreclosures and never had to deal with this many foreclosures and using that as a benchmark. I'm sure there are people watching this program right now and wondering, I want to do the right thing and I want to pay my bills, but I have to decide between paying my, paying my mortgage or paying my property tax. Are there resources available out there at the minimum to give people some advice and some guidance about the various programs that may be out there to assist them in this area?
Definitely. We've been in partnership with a number of organizations, but one of our main our largest partners in this effort is the City Treasurer's Office, Stephanie Neely's office. What we've been doing is going out, this treasurer has been having different financial wellness seminars throughout the city, and we've been working with them. We'll have staff go to those meetings. We talk to the individuals about this whole process and what they can do to save money on property taxes, exemptions, for example. So we are working with a number of agencies to make sure that people understand what they can do to save their homes. Now,
you referenced Stephanie Neely, the city treasurer. You can call 311 to get information about her office, and it's probably a good resource to go to. And the assessor's office, we're going to have the assessor's office in a moment have their phone number also posted on the screen along with their website. But let's step back now a little bit to you talked about residential property, but there are all kinds of there are several types of properties. You have commercial, manufacturing property, you have investment residential property, and then you have residential property where it's your home. All of those are classified differently, correct?
Yes.
And also have different types of, so does that affect the formula then that is used in determining what the tax rate is going to be for those particular properties?
Yes. For example, with commercial properties, instead of that 10% ratio that we use, or assessment ratio that we use for residential properties, commercial and industrial properties are assessed at 25% of market value. So just to briefly explain how that tax bill is calculated, we start with the market value. So let's say that we have a $200,000 commercial piece of property that we say is worth $200,000. We multiply that by 25%, and that gives you the assessment rate for that property. Then you take that factor, multiply it by the state equalizer. As you mentioned before, the Department of Revenue looks at the values that we have and the sales and determines what factor they think we should apply as an equalizer. Then that is multiplied by the tax rate, and that gives the tax dollars.
And who, just again to give, and not to get too bogged down on technical details, the tax rate is established by the various taxing bodies, correct? Yes. If we could just explain briefly, we have what, eight or nine public or governmental bodies that actually generate revenue through the property taxes, correct?
For example, the largest amount of property taxes goes to our schools.
Correct.
More than 51% in the city of Chicago of the tax bill, the property tax bill, goes to funding our schools. One of the things Assessor Houlihan has been working on is to try to find a way that will reduce that burden of the taxes coming from going to the schools, and finding another way to fund education as well as through the property tax.
Because they may end up in an unequitable distribution of dollars to fund education.
Yes.
Right, and that's been a topic of ongoing discussion now, not only in your office but throughout the state, and folks advocating for some type of for reforming the way that we finance public education here. Right. And certainly your efforts ought to be commended. Recently we were both together involved in an advocacy of supporting some cap legislation, so that because a few years ago, the assessments were just growing and growing based on some of the components in the formula that you're figuring out how to do the tax rate, correct?
Exactly.
So
Exactly.
what's going on with that tax cap legislation, the 21% tax cap? Is it still in place? 'Cause I know it had a sunset provision on it.
Right. The sunset provision for the city of Chicago, this is the last year. The tax bill that taxpayers will get this fall will be the last year of the expanded homeowners exemption. And what was happening, and taxpayers will probably notice that their tax bills were going up each year, was because when it was renewed in 2006 by the state legislature, I'm sorry, 2007, there was a sliding scale reducing the amount of the savings that a taxpayer would get. So this year, the maximum exemption that a taxpayer will be able to get is $20,000 off of the value of their home, which is then reflected in their homeowners exemption, where last year the amount was $26,000. So you can see that's a huge difference in the amount of what the tax bill will be this year based on the reduction in the amount for the homeowners exemption. We're hoping, Assessor Houlihan is hoping that we can get the 7% cap renewed so that it will provide more relief for homeowners. But right now, as things stand, this will be the last year for the city of Chicago for that expanded homeowners exemption.
If you have any questions about this tax cap legislation, which I believe we need to renew, please contact the assessor's office. I don't know if we can put the assessor's office number on the screen now, or their website, but you can also contact your state legislator, your state representative, and state senator. This legislation is crucial, especially right now, given that many families are struggling, and the way that the formula is set up, you will still see some increase in the assessment, and which will translate into a higher property tax. So we need this tax cap legislation, or in lieu of that, we just need to figure out a better way of generating revenue for the purposes of paying for our government services, right, and not relying so much on residential property tax, right? Because that's what we're talking about. We're not talking about all properties, but we're really focusing on residential property taxes, the home that you live in, that you reside in. And so while we're on that topic, I know that there are a lot of things right now that people can already do to protect themselves from being overtaxed or unfairly taxed. I get my bill, and I'm scratching my head, and I'm saying, geez, Louise, what happened here? How come all of a sudden, I was expecting maybe a little increase, but this just doesn't sound right. What remedies do I have? What should I do? And this is my homeowners. This is my my house, my residential property tax.
Very good question. What I would ask the homeowners to do right now, when they get their assessment notice, as for West Township, which I believe a large portion of your ward is in West Township, when they receive their assessment notices, we're estimating sometime in late November when they get those notices. The first thing they want to do is look at that market value that we've put on their property. It's going to be a lot easier to understand it now because of what we talked about, the 10% assessment ratio. Look at that and ask themselves, they think that is the value on their property? If they've looked at other properties in their area that are similar to theirs, that have lower values, then they need to file an appeal with our office. We have 30 days to file an appeal. Well, it sounds complicated, but it's not. It's really once a person...
Appeal, do I have to hire a lawyer?
No.
Even though I'm a lawyer, but do I have to hire a lawyer?
You definitely don't have to hire a lawyer. Okay. The whole process is so much easier now because we have so much information on our website, and people can file appeals, online appeals.
Speaking of websites, as we speak, I don't know if we could put the web. Okay, I see it up there. www.cookcountyassessor.com.